Hey everyone, it's Trina. I'm doing the journal swap this month for Junk Journal Junkies, etc. And I'm looking forward to seeing if anybody wants to trade with me. Some of you have already seen the first part of this because when I first started it, I actually put a short video on the feed, and I didn't finish it. I started it, and then I started another one, and then I had a friend who wanted one, so I started that one. So whenever I decided that I remembered that I had July, I had to hurry up and try to find something. Um, and so I picked up the other one, that's a pink one, and I started working on it. And then 2 days ago, I decided I really like this, and I wanted to finish it. So I've spent the last 3 days finishing it. I only had about 5 pages before. So we will get right into it. I hope that I'm in frame. Um, I am super new at doing videos and making journals. I've been doing this for about a year, and this is only maybe my fourth or fifth journal, so um, it got really fat. But we'll get started. This is the front. I don't know if you can, and like I said, it's pretty fat. Now this is made out of a flour sack. I am an avid antiquer. I love textiles, laces, old laces. I really don't like anything new. I like everything tattered looking, old. I cut up a lot of old clothes. This got really fat on me, so unfortunately that doesn't go all the way through. Does have the name of my business, Vintage. I mean, it's on the back, Trina 2020. So I'll go ahead and, I don't know if you can see it's got the tassel, has a couple little beads on it. And all of this is old too. It's all cut up. It's like a chiffon. I cut it off of some really old dresses. There's a couple of boho fabrics that I had gotten that have the little diamond-like things on it. Hoping that's good. And this is just, I don't know what I cut this off of. It was some kind of a dress. So the front of it, this little girl is what kind of started this whole journal. She looks kind of gypsy to me, but she's actually from 1910. I'll show you in a minute what I got it off of, and it's actually a real postcard that I have from 1910. And so I tried to put the whole postcard on here and wasn't able to do it to make it look the way I wanted it to look. So I actually copied her, and you'll see the postcard here in a minute. But what I've done is I have a piece of corrugated just cardboard, and I put it down. I have tons and tons of layers. Actually, this corrugated cardboard you're going to see in a minute opens up, and so it actually has a double cover. So it has a corrugated cardboard. This is a piece of metal heart, and then this is an old locket that I had that I bought. It's very old. As you can see on the front, it's kind of etched. It's very hard to open and close. It's old, and so I decided to leave it open, and I put a family picture. It's actually a family member that, or no, that is not a family member. I'll show you family members in a minute. That's actually a picture of, I think it's one of the Tim Holtz ladies, and I just cut it, and then I put this in here, and then this is like a door lock. So the whole part of this was I started using a paper pad that was Time as Illusions, and I ended up not really using it. I used just a couple of pieces of it. This is one of it. Eternity is in Love with the Productions of Time. And then I have my Create stamp that I stamped, And then there's just most every lace that you see in here is going to be very old, something I've cut off of a dress, or something that I have cut off of pillowcases. Um, I cut any kind of thing that I can find, wedding dresses, anything that's really, really old and that's falling apart and needs to be saved. And so I have just layered it. There's chiffon under here. This was an old dress, this turquoise was. And then I have some of the, it's like the onion bags that I have. There's some gauze. I can't even think of what it's called. Cheesecloth. And as you can see, it's just layered. And then I have just a piece of trim here. But this is going to open up, and as you can see, here's where I got the actual front and the idea of the book. This is the actual card, and it is from 1910, September 20th, 1910, and it's Denison, Texas, which is not very far down the road from me. And I actually got this card nowhere close to Texas, which is where I live. The young man was apparently writing an aunt. He was talking about he was well, and that he wasn't going to get to go to school this year because he wanted to graduate, but his papa and ma wouldn't let him go back. And so he says he's sometime going to go to college. He doesn't like it as well as high school, though. And anyway, he goes on and talks, and he sent it to somebody in Ohio. This envelope is very tattered, so I have glued it down to keep it from fraying. And then I just stamped it with memories. And you can see the corrugated cardboard here. More cheesecloth. This is not real here, it's just a copy of something. This is a piece of a trim that I have. And there's an old rusty safety pin, some old sheet music. And this is actually velvet that I got from Kelly Snow in her Essie shop. And then I also just put on some thick gesso white underneath here. And then it opens up to actual book to the front page. Like I said, this is really, really big, so hope you can still see it. So this is the front page, and this is actually a picture of my family. Not quite sure who all they are. I know there's an aunt in there. And I just have my vintage stamp on it, a little paper clip, just whatnots, and I just stuck it on a plain tag. Then I did a little bit of stamping here, music notes, just use some seam binding. That may be, yeah, that is seam binding. I sewed around here, the edges, and then this also flips open, because it does have to do with time. I have time as an illusion here. This is an old doily I've sewed all the way around here. This is a time card that I've cut in half, just put some embellishments on it. All of this is old lace, really old button, more old lace, seam binding, an old rusty pen, just a guest check that I have just, that I have inked up. And then this is just a piece of a calendar, and then I have sewed around the time card. This is just I think this is the Tim Holtz tissue, and I decoupaged it on there. And then because the journal is all fabric made out of the flour sacks, I tried to make some writing spaces, and so that's what this is. I've sewed all the way around it, and you can write on the time card. And then that closes up. Like I said, I tried to make some writing spaces. So this is actually made out of tracing paper. I just cut it, I actually tore it, sewed around it, and instead of it flipping like an envelope, I actually flipped it the other way so that I could put some more writing space in here. And then this is just lots of old trim. This is more tracing paper, Live with Passion. I took the tracing paper, put a piece of paper in it, inked it up, sewed around it, and made another place for writing. And this is actually another old envelope. You can tell. I just cut it in half. You can tell where it used to fold here. You can see I did not ink this. This is actually where the glue was, or whatever it is, so you can see the different shadowing on it. And then I just stamped it there, and so that you have a full paper to write on. And then this actually came with the Thomas Illusion paper pack from Stamperia, and it's just a card that you can write on the back. I've sewed around it. I cut the flower stack up, I bleached it, and then I have sewed, I don't know if you can tell, I have sewed around all the edges, and I have frayed the edges. And because it is so old, it was fraying so much that I tore up at several pages, so I had to go back and I have just kind of put a tad bit of, not Mod Podge, but kind of like a glue stuff to keep it from completely fraying apart. And then that is that new Tim Holtz washi tape. This page I really like. I have this Imagine stamp, a soda pocket here. This is a metal heart. And then I just took a tag, put some cellophane on it. These are actually flowers out of my garden. I just sewed around it. That's just a paper doily, and then some old laces that just kind of flip up. Here I tried to make some more writing spaces, and so I just made a flip little notebook. Of course, it says Tom, has an old doily on it, some seam binding, another piece of old lace under here, and a really piece of old lace here. And it's just flips. So you can do front and back. And that one's glued down. Another piece of the Tim Holtz washi tape. And all of this, all the pages are sewn around. And then this next page, this is another relative. I just put it on a plain tag, I just cut it, didn't do anything to it, and then just stamped kind of here. And then this, I just sewed around here, made another pocket. And you can put some other things in here. You can write on the back of this, plus there's plenty of room to put other things that you can write on. I had bought an old tablecloth, and that's what all these little doilies are. This thing is huge, huge, huge. I'll probably never, ever in my lifetime ever be able to use them all. And so I sit at night sometimes and just cut them because I use them a lot. I like them. And then I just have a little dangle here on a bulb pin, another piece of sheet music that's inked. And then over here, this little envelope did come with the Thomas Illusions packet. These are all old pieces of fabric. I believe that's chiffon. Another old piece of lace. I've just stamped it and inked it, and then it opens up. And inside of here, this is just a piece of paper that you can write on. Again, I'm trying to make writing spots because this is fabric. You can't write in the actual book. Then I made another little booklet. This is also out of another paper pad, and I can't remember the name of it. And then I just have stamped this, inked these pages. It's just a few little pages in here. This is a stamp I got from 49th and Market. Another stamp from 49 and Market. Piece of a guest check. Another stamp I have. And Do What You Love art. And then I also have some, since this is all about past times, I have a lot of things in here that are all older. Here's a deal of old buttons. So I also put that in there. This I have just pinned on with this little bitty little Tim Holtz paper clip thing that he just came out with. And this is a card that I printed off. And you can also write on it. And you could write some here on this envelope I've stamped on top of the fabric or the muslin flour sack. Then it has some lace, some old lace here. This page I really love. I did have this on, don't know if I'm getting over too far. Sorry about that, may have got over too far. I did put this on the internet. It's like my favorite page. I don't know why. I did take some paint and some of the dewdrops, and I underneath here did it in blue, and then I layered and layered and layered. I got 3 or 4 layers of lace. I have the eyelash trim. This is a little flower that I actually made out of seam binding and put a little pearl in it. And then this little girl is just an image off the internet. And then I have some more cheesecloth. As you can tell, I like to layer a lot. And then I made another little place for writing. This is out of the paper pad. It says memories. I have an old piece of lace here. I have create written on this. And there's several pieces of paper. There's a little watch that is tea dyed. And also, I don't know what made those black things on my tea dye, but it did, and I kind of like it. I didn't try to do it, and I don't know why I did it, but it did it. And then this is some paper that I actually got from Kelly's store with her little dot pen or something. And it says Imagine. And it's just kind of just all stamped. There's a piece of tissue paper, another piece of that paper. This is actually an old doctor's prescription. This is 420 of 1950. I found a bunch of these at a flea market, and I bought the whole pack. There was probably 100 and something of them. And so it's just got several places there that you can write. So I put quite a bit in that. That says hope. And then I stamped here. And so there's quite a bit of pages that you can write in there. Just trying to give somebody that wants to use it for writing plenty of space. Over here, there's really no place to write. I mean, there is these little flip downs. You might could put something in there. That one I don't think opens. Yes, it does. But you can't really get into it. This says, how long is forever? Sometimes just 1 second. There's the girl's picture again. I cut it down and put it in this little frame. This is a very old piece of lace. This was a piece of a wedding dress. This came off of, I think this came off of an old suit that my mother-in-law had from way back. It was in the attic. And then this is some crocheted work underneath here. And I'm not quite sure what all. There's some Battenberg lace. And here's some ticking, black and white ticking that I love. And then this came off of a wedding dress. And then this, I just really like it. It's just so plain and simple. This was an old handkerchief that, like, I cut it. and I cut it in squares. It has lace on it, and it's really old. That's why you can see through it. In fact, it's going to have a few little holes. Everything I use, like I said, is old and tattered, so it can be stained. Some of it is stained, some of it may have a few little holes in it because it is all very old. I like this here. It says thinking of earlier days. Has to do with the time, and then it just has some trim here. This is actually a picture that I found in the attic, and I have copied it. Don't want to get rid of them. And you can write on the back of that. I have done a little bit of stamping again on the flour sack. And then behind here, I actually put a piece of dictionary page that I had copied to make that stronger. And then that's just one of the little Tim Holtz girls. Friendship is a well-tended garden. Again, I have some of the velvet ribbon from Kelly's Etsy shop. I have inked over it a little bit a piece of the wedding dress. These are just tickets that I've got from somewhere out of some ephemera back. And then this is just a tag that I've made. And that is a really piece of old, I think this was a wedding dress too. And then this has a pocket here. I just sewed the pocket so you can put plenty of things in here that you can write on. And I may put some more paper in it. I just ran out of time. I may do it before, if anybody wants it, before I send it out the door. Another little tag that you can write on, but you got plenty of room in here to stick other stuff to write on. More lace. This I thought was pretty cool. I actually got this, I may have glued it by accident. So it's on the little chain, and I think that's Tim Holtz. And I don't know where these came from. They may be Tim Holtz too. I've had them for a long time. You turn it over. So I didn't want to glue it. I wanted to be able to see this, so that's why I put it on the little chain. Cheesecloth, this is an old doily. Again, I have the bag that the onions come in, and then it has some trim down here. And then I just kind of made that doily to where that holds that over. And you can see the bag up here. Just lots of layers of stuff. This is different. This was hard. This actually is a whole thing, and it's going to roll out, and I did it to give more writing space, and you'll see why in a minute. So I'm just going to unclip this. I have some clips here that's holding everything together. And so the first page, this is I think that is the Tim Holtz film strip, and this is actually his stuff that he just came out too. I just poked the holes in it. That's some kind of, I don't know what it is. It's like a paper ribbon. And then I put some, I actually have a very old, it's like 1919. It's my grandmother's actually English dictionary. That's what they went to school with. They didn't have an English book. And so I have torn pages out. I just put it behind that so you could see through it. Another old doily. This film strip stuff, it comes from Tim Holtz, and I have sewed around here. It has just a tag. It also has a little file folder, and you can put some papers or whatever you want in there, and that makes a pocket there. And then this, I'm going to move this over so you can see, I don't know how much we can get in. So it actually unfolds. So I think I'm still in frame right now. And so you can write here, and then this is a flip up. I'm gonna move it back over because I don't know what you can see. This is a flip up. It's got several pages again that you can write on. And then I'm gonna undo it again. And I'm going to scoot it over. So there's actually a flat page that you can write notes on, another page. Here's the flip, here's that, and there's that. So it's like an accordion, it just folds in. This is stamped, sewed, inked, tea dyed. Some of them may be coffee dyed. That is some kind of, I forget what they call it, something chips that came off of Tim Holtz also. Okay, now if I can remember how it goes back. So it just, oh, I guess I need to show you the other side. So when you flip it over, so it's this way and then this way. So we'll do this first. Has another page that you can write on. Has Imagine, very old lace. That came off of an old wedding dress. Just seam binding, an old safety pin. And then this is actually a chenille bedspread underneath here that is green that I had, and this is very, very old. And it's really pretty. It's got this little crocheted like doily thing on it, but it's very old, so it's pretty tattered. And then I made this out of tissue paper, and it does open up. And I have the little paper doll girl, and then I have just little bits and pieces. And I don't think I put anything in this yet, but it does open up. It's a bag. Maybe I did put something in here. No, I don't think I did. And then there I just have a little number, another little safety pin, bits and pieces, a little tag here. It's just hanging on a thread. And then over here, I actually have an old library card. And I've just put vintage on it, put little pieces of lace. That's just a tag that you can write on. And I don't think I left that word, yeah. And that's, again, one of those old doily, the little print chips. No, a little cameo thing. That's not real, it's just plastic. And then this is another flip. And I have, this is the clear gesso, so it has that sound. I put an eyelet up here, so that can turn around, so you can write on this if you want, and they will all turn around. Got it hooked on with the seam binding, and it has graph paper, just regular paper, front and back. And then you could stick something underneath here if you want to. Okay, let me see if I can get this back together. Okay. I'm going to try to clip this back so that all right. This page here, like I say, it's getting fat, so I'm going to have to kind of hold it up. This one is sewed. It has the white gesso on it underneath that I put under there. And then this is a piece of tissue paper that I decoupaged on. And then these are little images that I inked up and then put the gesso over the top of them. I love those little images. This is a really old curtain stuff, fringy stuff that I found. And I love the color. It kind of went with the coral color. I'm usually a pink person, so this one actually turned out to be more turquoise than coral. And then this is just a fabric flip. I love this fabric. I just love it. And it flips. There's another piece that flips. These are all old pieces of material. This is, I'm not sure what that is. It's kind of a crocheted, it's not a cotton. And then this is an old doily that I cut up. And this down here is actually glued on, and that is the old wedding dress. And that wedding dress is like late 1800s. Very, very, very old and very fragile. That's why I cut it up to use it, because it was disintegrating, actually falling apart in little pieces. So I'm trying to save it. Okay, over here, this is kind of interesting. I love this page simply because this is my grandmother and grandfather. I don't know if you can see it. That was actually whenever they were courting, is what they called it back then. So I found a song, and that says Romance Land. So I thought that was pretty cool. Romance Land Serenade. And so I put that, and then I have their picture. And again, I printed it because I want to keep the picture. Again, I have the velvet from Kelly's Etsy shop. This is a really piece of old doily that I cut up. Material that is sewn. And then there's some lace underneath it and just some fibers. Just a little diamond-like thing. And this actually is a pocket. It is a big pocket. So this has the material on it. But I've got some old pictures. Here's just a heart cut out of lace. This picture here, again, is printed. It's family. Don't know where it came from, out of the suitcase in the attic, so I'm not quite sure who it is. They didn't write on it, so like I said, I copied it. This is what I was telling you about. I'm hoping I didn't. I had to fold it. This is the early 1900s, 1914, I think, dictionary page that my grandmother actually carried to school. So because this had to do about time and old, I put a lot of pieces of old things in here. Okay. Oh, I need to go to the next one. So the next pocket, there's like 4 or 5 pockets here. So there's one. This is the second pocket. This is another old family picture. Again, I copied it. And so there's another slot down in here. So that's 1 slot, 2 slot. This one is in the 3rd slot. And I made all these slots so that you can put papers, notes, or whatever you want to journal on. Another picture. It's been copied. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is your 5th pocket here. And this was actually burned. And that is actually my great-grandfather who owned an old store. And I'm not quite sure if that's like a gas thing. I can't tell. He's long gone. My grandmother's long gone, so I do not know, but I just know that that's him. And I do remember when I was a child to go see him at the old store in a different town. This is where it gets really, really fat, so this was kind of hard, so I just made this. I just put a bag here. And what I've done is I've put a handkerchief. I don't want to take it out because it's hard to slide in and out. I do have a popsicle stick inside so that it makes it easier to pull out and push in, but it is an old handkerchief. And it's crocheted, and it's in really good shape. Really good shape. You can see my popsicle stick. Okay, I'm hoping this video is still running. All right. And this flips up also. And this just has a lot of old stuff on it. This is actually an old crocheted piece. I don't know if you can see the crochet through here. And then I just have a piece of muslin that I stamped my vintage treasures on, an old safety pin. Then that's a piece of an old wedding dress, and just there's a piece of that Chanel bedspread again, and another piece of the wedding dress. And this white back here is an embroidery lace that came off of an old dresser scarf. And this I just left blank. And then this is another tissue envelope I've made. It's just got several tags, an old button, an old pin. That's that Tim Holtz thing too, where they just stitch on there. This is some old lace, some old twine, and then this opens. So in here, I put times past, and I put some old things in here. And they're pretty fragile, and I may have to get, I have several of these checks, and I may have to get another one, because when I folded it, I think it may have, they're so fragile. You can see where it's tearing a little bit there. But I don't know, a lot of you may not be as old as I am, but used to, when your check went through the bank, it had these little holes. See where it says paid with the holes? And this one was in 1943. It's $12.40. It's an H.A. Deedle, Pearl, and Budweiser beer. So it was a business check, signed, but anything. That was pretty cool. And like I said, I may have to get a different one. And then these came out of an old journal ledger, and they're dated 1918. And there's no date on these, but I do have the little book that it came out of somewhere. I don't know where it is. Here it is. Anyway, they came out of these little Treasury Department books. And some of those, they're all dated different. I don't know if this one has the date in the front. Anyway, if you're interested, I can find the date, because I have like 6 of those little books, and I know a couple of them have the dates in them. So that's just a window envelope. I'll just put times past and just put some old letters, notes, checks. And here's another doctor's note. 4/19/1950, Joseph Vickers, and it actually has writing on the back. So this person had like 4 or 5 prescriptions that day. It's a lot of medicine back then. Anyway, that goes inside of here. And this comes up. This is the last pages. And it gets really fat here, so I have to lift it up, sorry. This is old chiffon off of a dress, and it actually had some beading on it, but I covered it up. This is just an image. That's the old wedding dress. This is really cool. This actually shakes, I don't know if you can see it. It shakes. And this is an old doily that I actually tried dyeing pink, and it didn't come out pink. It actually came out coral. So I decided to use it with this, because I don't usually use corals, but I did on this one. Again, there's some of that old trim. And this is still all the old fabric that I'm using. I took some old tissue paper that had and put music notes on it. And then that's, not sure what that is. It's not old. And then this opens up, if I didn't glue it together. That's the old wedding dress, and I'm not sure what I put in here. Oh, this is an old Coca-Cola double bottling company. And it's got a 1980 something. It doesn't, it just says 1908. This is also one of the little bags that I actually made out of tracing paper. I just tore it a different shape and then sewed it together and sewed the edges. And that's just an image. And that's it. That's the book. I have the old trim out here. And again, like that. And then just the tie. So I appreciate you watching. If anybody wants to trade, I've never done this before. Just put in the feed, make a video, put it in the feed, and then at the end of the month, if I will watch them and hopefully pick one to trade with. So I appreciate you guys, and I can't wait to see what you have. I would love to trade if anybody likes it. Again, appreciate you watching. Thanks, guys.